Okay, let's jump into this. When you first hear a life portrait, um, I think a lot of people immediately think memorials, right?
That's definitely the common thought. Remembering someone after they've passed, maybe creating a kind of tribute.
Yeah, a tribute to a life lived. And that makes sense. It's a very understandable assumption.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And the source material we're looking at today, it certainly touches on that aspect, but it really presents a much, much bigger idea.
It really reframes it, doesn't it?
It does. It broadens the whole scope of what a life portrait is meant for.
Okay, so that's our goal for this deep dive then. Let's unpack what this source actually says it's really about. Why is it pushing this idea of it being for now? And, why should you care?
Well, the core idea, and this is pretty central in the text, is that it's less about just commemoration after the fact
Mm-hmm.
and more about uh, holding on to the moments that matter. That's a direct quote.
Holding on to the moments.
Right.
Okay. And that's where it starts to get really interesting, I think. Because the text is super clear, this is not just for memorials. It's positioned as a way to capture, like, the everyday stuff.
Yeah, it lists things like the stories you tell over dinner or the memories that make you smile years later.
Right. And those voices you wish you could hear again, or even just the little details you never want to forget.
It's fundamentally about capturing life, while it's actually happening, not just in retrospect.
Okay, so if it's about capturing life as it happens, who is it for? Does the source break that down?
Oh, absolutely. It's quite detailed. It starts with what it calls the ones we love now and always.
Now and always. Okay.
And this part is full of specific examples. It really emphasizes connecting right now, in the present.
Like what kind of examples?
Well, it suggests it's for your parents, and it specifically mentions capturing their stories before they were lost to time.
Ah, that's powerful. Okay.
Yeah. And then for your grandparents, saving their voices so maybe your kids or even grandkids can hear them someday.
Wow.
It's pitched for your partner, too, like celebrating the journey you're actually building together.
Right, the ongoing story.
Exactly. And for your child, as you're watching them grow and change, which happens so fast.
Oh, tell me about it. Blink and you miss it sometimes.
So true. And it doesn't just stop at immediate family. The source includes your best friend, maybe a mentor, even a favorite teacher.
Huh. So wider circle.
Definitely. And I liked this detail. It explicitly mentions your pet.
Ah, really?
Yeah, that source of unconditional love. The main point it hammers home is that it's for anyone you care about.
Anyone, whether they're still with you or if you're holding on to their memory.
Precisely. Both present connections and cherished memories.
Okay. So that makes sense. It's for all these important people in our lives. But hang on, what about us? What about your own story in all this? Does the text touch on that side of things?
It does, yeah. It makes a clear shift. It says it's also for the ones who love us.
Ah, okay. So turning the lens around.
Right. And it brings up this idea of, well, your own narrative. The text is pretty direct. It says something like, your life is a story worth telling. Your voice matters.
That's quite affirming.
It is. And it frames your whole journey. The ups, the downs, the achievements, the struggles, all of it, as part of the legacy you're creating, like every single day.
And this idea of legacy, the source suggests it's not just something for way down the line.
No, not at all. It explicitly says a life portrait isn't just about looking back. It's about capturing life as it happens.
So the moments don't just slip away.
Exactly. So they don't get lost in the busyness of time.
And how does that connect back to the people who love us?
Well, the source kind of links those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It suggests that, when you're eventually gone, it's people who love you who carry your stories.
Right. They hold on to those memories.
Yeah, they'll remember your laugh or your kindness or just how you made them feel, those shared moments. And the portrait, the text implies, is a tool.
A tool to help keep those specific personal memories really alive for them.
Precisely. Vividly alive.
Okay, so if the big emphasis is on capturing life as it happens, then the timing question comes up. When are you supposed to start this?
The source is surprisingly definite on this point. It says, you do not have to wait for a perfect time.
No perfect time needed. Okay.
Right. No need to hold out for, a big graduation or a wedding or some major milestone.
Interesting, because you often think of commemorating the big stuff.
True. But the text specifically points out that sometimes the most meaningful memories come from the small, everyday moments.
The everyday moments. Like what? Does it give examples?
It does. Things like the sound of your spontaneous laughter or the specific way you always say goodnight to someone.
Oh, yeah. Little rituals.
Exactly. Or even just the process of making a favorite family recipe together. These seemingly ordinary things.
The source says these are the things that matter.
Yes, that they deserve to be remembered just as much as the grand occasions.
That really shifts the perspective.
It does. So if you pull all that together, the source offers a pretty neat summary answer to who is a life portrait really for.
What's the bottom line?
It says, it is for you, it is for the people you love, it is for the people that love you, it is for the life you are living right now.
You, the people you love, the people who love you, and life right now. That's quite encompassing.
It covers a lot of ground.
And if that sounds like, wow, that's a big project, does it offer any advice on just starting?
It does. The call to action presented suggests it doesn't have to be huge. Starting can be a small step, like just adding one photo you love or recording one quick story on your phone, maybe saving one voice memo.
So manageable steps.
Right. But, and this is the crucial part, it says that even that small first step can mean everything.
Because it's a start. It preserves something.
Exactly. And the overall purpose, right at the end of the text, is stated as helping you preserve the moments that matter so they stay with you and the people you love forever.
Forever. That's the goal. And it actually invites people to start.
Yep. There's a very clear, specific invitation right there. Start a free life portrait today.
Gotcha. Now, just quickly looking at the other material you had from the source, there were some other related bits, right? Like recent posts.
Yeah, just a few titles listed. Things like Gifting a Life Portrait, a meaningful way to show you care. Another one was Keeping Their Memory Close, even when they're gone, and How to Create a Beautiful Tribute with a Life Portrait. So covering different angles.
Okay. And there were also just standard website links at the bottom.
Right. Your usual stuff. About us, pricing, gift cards, terms of service, features, FAQ, reflections, privacy policy, contact us.
And examples, too.
Yes, and specific portrait examples were mentioned. Pet portrait example, living portrait example, and memorial portrait example. So you can see different types.
Okay, so really digging into this source text, it makes it clear that a life portrait, at least as presented here, is positioned as way more than just a memorial thing.
Absolutely. It's framed as this active tool for capturing the richness and texture of life itself.
The big moments, sure, but maybe even more emphasis on the small, everyday ones.
Yeah, for yourself and for everyone you share your life with, both right now, in the present, and also looking towards the future.
It really makes you think, which I guess leads to a final thought for you, our listener, based on what this is highlighting.
Yeah. If an everyday moment, one of those small things, genuinely matters and deserves remembering, what specific, maybe tiny detail or sound or voice from your own life right now, or the life of someone you really care about? What's one thing you'd feel is important enough to capture, maybe starting today?